you Eddie Van Halen? Why not?
Yes.
And welcome to Kick Ice Sports. I'm Lance. He's Gilby.
Peace, guys.
What's going on, man?
How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man.
God, doesn't that just get you excited?
Oh, you know, Eddie, man. He's the best guitarist in the history of mankind.
Gosh, I just love it. If you don't get excited listening to that.
And anybody that could score Valerie Bertinelli.
God bless his heart.
Yeah.
I was crushed. as an 8-year-old kid.
I wanted to be the Three's Company.
Hey, that oldest sister, she wasn't too bad either. Mackenzie Phillips.
Ooh.
I know. A little tough.
Ah.
She wasn't my type, but she wasn't too bad.
She was one of those people that when you looked at her, it was like, okay, it's not closing time yet. And there's still a few other females in here.
Is it 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or 4 o'clock?
She was more of a 5:30, I think.
Nothing good happens after 4:30, Lance. Always remember that. Nothing good happens after 4:30.
You never get a promotion after midnight or a raise. It never happens.
Never, ever.
All right, so this is technically a sports show, and what we're going to be doing is basically breaking down the college games, the NFL games, kind of have an aspect of Las Vegas because that's where we're at right now. We're about 3 miles west of the Fremont Street Experience.
Yes.
So that's where we're at right now. Gilby, tell me something about yourself. I know you.
Well, you know me, yeah, of course.
We're brothers.
Something,
Yeah.
Hey, almost a Vegas native. Been here 36 years now.
Piquito.
Yeah, just a small little bit. Hey, after 5 years, aren't you a native here in Las Vegas?
I think the number's more technically a 15 or a 20. At least that's the way it was in San Diego,
Well, yeah, San Diego, you really got to earn it to live there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because they just don't let anybody down there.
No, and if they had the chance to tax you for standing on the side of the street breathing oxygen, they would do it.
Yes.
That's California.
But, hey, I'm just like everybody else here in this town, a lot of people, I'm just a big, huge sports fan. Been a huge sports fan my whole life, growing up in Wisconsin, Friday night we had high school football.
Hey,
yep. Saturday we had to watch the Badgers lose, usually a 2-8 season, kind of thing. And then we had the Packers and on Sunday, so it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday football all weekend long. So always been big into the sports, been playing sports my whole life, hockey, football, baseball.
Families from Anigo?
Yeah, Anigo, small little town up in north central Wisconsin, up by
Hey
Wausau.
there.
Yeah, 82 miles northwest of Green Bay. So Green Bay was just a hop, skip, and a jump. So I got to go see some games as a kid. Thank God for my high school sweetheart. Her dad had season tickets, so I was able to catch a couple of those in my youth.
The frozen tundra.
And I'm telling you, my worst experience at a football game was in late November, and of all teams, and you're not going to believe this because you know that it was against the Chargers. It was against Dan Fouts and the Chargers. It's a freezing rain. It's like 28 degrees.
Blowing sideways,
just drenched wet. We were kind of prepared for it, but when you're 16 years old, using your girlfriend's tickets, taking her, of course, she was with me, but I made her sit through that game almost all the way to the very end because it was the first game I'd ever been to.
and she had been like there a million times, and the weather was really bad. And she's probably like, "I want to, let's go." The bar's open.
Well, the bar was in the car at that time because we were only 16. But yes,
A lot of things happen in the car.
but
at 16.
it's funny how that one game that it was the Chargers and it was Dan Fouts,
who usually play really, really bad when they head to the East Coast.
Yes,
Chargers were just terrible on the East Coast. They could play great in San Diego and central United States and the Midwest, but you get into the East Coast, Miami, Washington, New England, and they just fall apart. They just they don't wake up till the third quarter.
Well, and that's why this year Seattle's already went over there 3 times and won 3 times. It was a big thing in the NFL for decades that nobody from the West Coast could go to the East Coast and win.
And you don't think that 3 hours would make a big difference, but that's the only difference is that time zone change,
Yeah.
And do you fly out earlier? Do you leave like on a Wednesday if you're going to play on Sunday so you kind of get acclimated to that time?
Right.
I've seen it done all different types of ways with Air Coryell, and the Chargers still just kind of SUCKED whenever they would go back out to that East Coast. I mean, it was great in the books, because you could actually take and make money because you knew even though you had a Dan Fouts team, with Natron Means and that whole wrecking crew
Oh,
that they
heck
had going
yes.
on there. Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison,
Yep.
and they were doing very well. But still, they would go out to that East Coast and they would just, be Pop Warner Madison High School. It'd just be terrible.
But the thing is that I've always heard is that it's that 1 p.m. start because that's 10 a.m. on the West Coast. So they're not used to playing a game 10 a.m. on their body clock.
Right. Because when it's 10 o'clock our time, it's still a 1 o'clock game on the East Coast.
On the East Coast.
So they're always playing a 1 o'clock
They're
game.
always playing at 1.
But if they do come to the West Coast, it's actually a later in the afternoon game, which is a lot better.
It's always a 1:25 game.
You can always wake up better if you got an extra 3 hours to kind of get your head straight.
Because it's 4 o'clock their time, so it puts things off a little bit. But, I've just never, but in the last decade or so, a lot of teams have been able to overcome that obstacle.
Right.
Like you said, they go out a day early now.
Right.
Kind of thing. So sometimes, but then there's teams that just go over there and it's like, oh, they didn't even show up.
Didn't even show up.
Didn't even show up. Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of not showing up, that's not what happened last night up in Seattle, the
No.
Emerald City. Yeah, it was a good Thursday night game. We record these bits on Fridays, so if the information sounds outdated, that's your fault. We're not catching it when you should have.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyways, last night we did have the Cardinals at the Seahawks.
Yes.
And they just renamed that stadium. It's no longer CenturyLink, is it? They gave it a new name.
I didn't even recognize the name.
Yeah. Russell Wilson made a quick mention of it
Yep.
in the post-game show, and he said it was the first one in the blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I guess the sponsors didn't really want to pay for that.
No, not at all.
I didn't catch it either. I don't know exactly what he said there.
I did recognize it during the telecast last night, and it caught me off guard also. It's like, because it was a weird word of a company that I go, well, it sounds like definitely a tech company from up in the Northwest area.
Right.
Kind of thing. So
You ever been to Seattle Stadium?
I have been to Seattle Stadium. Yes, I have.
So you can confirm.
But not this new one.
Oh, really?
I haven't been to the new one.
Oh, the one next to the baseball field?
Yes,
That's a new one?
that's the new one.
They used to play in the baseball field?
No, they used to play in the Kingdom.
Oh, well, you're talking the 80s, bro, 90s.
Well,
Okay.
this new stadium's only really been there for
Back when your shoulder
maybe
pads had to be
60.
9 feet
and
wide.
don't forget the collar guard.
Right.
Come on, you gotta
that the
have
toilet
it.
seat, man.
Jesus, Yeah, I wanted to be a linebacker just to wear one of those.
And they never really worked,
No.
It just sounded like you farted, when you go, it's like, what the hell was that?
It's like, no, you're not gonna get whiplash. I'm sorry, but you are colliding with somebody at 20 miles an hour. You're still gonna get a little whiplash, although you got this little neck collar on.
Well, and nothing says I'm going to smash you with my head first than the guy coming at you with a toilet seat on his neck.
Yes, but
That says I'm going to hit you with my head.
But now, if you watch the NFL lately in the last 5 years, they're trying to take that hit out. They're trying they're trying to get that
It's a smart move.
leading the helmet in.
Yeah,
You know.
you have to penalize for that just because it's known. The injuries do happen. Concussions are not good. And especially if you get multiple concussions over a lifetime or even just over a career in the not-for-long league.
Yeah.
Your brain, starts to shrink if you get too many concussions. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like. But you know how when you get sick, your mind just races. I imagine it's something like that, but amplified 100,000 times. Because Junior Seau, quarterback or linebacker for the Chargers, former USC product, just a great athlete out of Oceanside, California.
Oh,
And he was just an outstanding athlete.
beautiful.
And,
Just one of the best.
One of the hitters, that's where Slam Diego came from. That's because of the way he was hitting and almost took him to a Super Bowl win. Paquito.
Just hey, he got him there though.
That damn Jerry Rice.
And that's still one of the best playoff games ever was San Diego going into Pittsburgh and winning that game in the last seconds.
Oh, yeah.
It's still one of the best
Against
playoff
O'Donnell.
games. Yeah.
O'Donnell was like, represent the AFC well, man. It's like, no, not the Chargers. I think the point spread, everyone's figuring Pittsburgh was going to go, so the odds are like 3-1. San Francisco's going to probably take it back in the 94 Super Bowl. And the Chargers went right to like 17-1. It's like, what the heck?
Well, and that was just a tough Super Bowl for the Chargers to overcome. That was Steve Young's finally getting to the Super Bowl, getting the monkey off of his back.
Yeah.
He
regrets saying that. You heard that, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he came out a few years ago and said, I regret saying that. That just wasn't cool.
Yeah,
I was
but
like, yeah, as a Charger fan, yeah, F you.
yeah, but he had that Montana thing lingering over him for so long.
That would have
and,
to be a
big
shadow.
It's just like Rodgers replacing Favre. It's just like the Dolphins haven't been able to replace Marino yet. Maybe with Tua now they might have something.
Right.
Elway at the Broncos, they are still searching for a quarterback 25 years. They rented Peyton Manning for a couple years and won a Super Bowl out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I mean, it's tough to follow somebody that good.
Absolutely.
It is.
Last night's game, Cardinals beat Seattle 28-21 was the final score. Some great events took place in that game. Anything come to your mind?
Well, first of all, what a great way to start Week 11. Can you believe that? It's already Week 11 of the NFL football season.
It always flies by like that.
It goes by so quick, and with the COVID stuff this year, it's been a very difficult season. But, this game, Seahawks went off as a 3-point favorite. The over-under was 57. Actually opened up the Seahawks at -5.5. So there's a lot of money that came in on the Cardinals for this game yesterday.
Well, delusions of grandeur.
Mm-hmm.
Flea flickers, Hail Marys, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Once in a blue moon do those things happen. And that's when you get a full moon twice a month.
Yeah.
A blue moon. In case you didn't know that.
I did know that,
you
actually.
Did know that.
Yeah.
The internet, man.
I know.
That interwebs is pretty cool stuff.
I used to sell, I worked for Coors Miller, and Blue Moon is one of their products.
It's Coors.
So I had to figure out what the Blue Moon was.
It's Coors. Coors.
Yeah, Coors.
Coors.
Tastes like water.
Rocky Mountain Spring Water.
Yes. Get that blue can. If that can is blue, it's cold. That's their campaign, yes.
But, who had a good game in that?
Who's that?
TK Metcalf.
He has really stepped up his game this year. Came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, Russell Wilson is finding him big time this year. He's a beast. He's 235 pounds, 6'4". He's a man amongst boys out there on the outside.
Yeah, but the thing is he's kind of a gentle giant in his mind. You notice that about him?
Yeah, he's very soft-spoken.
Very soft,
and a lot of big guys that are monstrous like that actually have a little softer side to them because they're so big, and they've always had that intangible for them that it's always that they're just bigger than everybody else, so they got to be a little bit softer.
Right. Here's TK right after the game. I forgot to turn off the Van Halen.
You know something? Why not keep it going?
I know. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
All right. So Van Halen's off now. Let's go ahead and do this.
I don't think it was important, but, whenever, I feel like I can affect the game, I want to affect the game, when the ball's in my hands. But, we established a run game tonight. I think we rushed for over 100 yards, threw for over 100, so that was a big plus for us.
All right, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
16-second clip right there.
Yeah.
How many times did you say,
Probably 4 or 5.
I haven't counted, but I think it was like 7 or 8.
I've been in a lot of presentations, and I always listen to people as they're talking, and one. There's always some other little glitches every now and then that they always could repeat because they're just trying to think. Kind of thing. They're just trying to think of something to say, but they always use a or they use another word or this or, kind of thing. So
it's usually a sign of an anxious mind.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit there.
Right.
And live with that pause.
No, exactly.
Something's always got to be rolling and flowing,
It's that uncomfortable pause.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for you to jump in.
Yeah.
See, you jumped in pretty quick.
Yeah.
I was going to let it go for an hour.
But he did come up with he did bring up one big point that I think was one of the most important things that was able for the Seahawks to win this game last night.
Okay.
And that was the running game. Now, their running backs they've been a running back by committee for basically the last 8 weeks.
Sure.
Their leading running back guy Carson has been injured, and they thought they might have him this week, but Thursday he was just so. Friday they said, Wednesday was he was just a no-go. So it was by committee. They've got this kid Scarborough who was in Alabama, who I really thought was going to be a good running back.
Mm-hmm.
He's on his second team. He just doesn't. He's a big guy, but he's just so. But they had they had 3 running backs last night, and they actually had, like you said, over 100 yards. And for Russell Wilson to be effective, he has to be that way. I mean, Russell Wilson ended up 23 for 28, 197 yards, and 2 TDs. The main thing, no turnovers.
That's an important thing.
Coming into this game, just in the last 4 games, the Seahawks were -5 in the takeaway department.
Ow.
They've been turning over the ball. And
Ow.
Russell Wilson himself, the last 2 games, turned the ball over basically 6 times. So everybody was saying that it's just him trying to do too much, trying to compensate, because you got to remember, the Seahawks have one of the worst defenses in the league this year, which they haven't been able to say that.
They're missing that 12th man.
Exactly. This is one of the teams that, and as we all have watched a little bit, a lot of the football, in college and pros, that fan status where they're playing at home and they don't get that is really telling.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly for me, really in college. Not so much the pros, because they seem to be playing because they're playing for a job. They're playing for a paycheck. Sure, they want to win the Super Bowl and everything like that, but it's their job. So I've been really impressed with the output of all the teams this year. During this, when not playing in front of some stadiums are letting 10%, 15%, 20% of fans in. Which. If you're one of those teams, fantastic. At least you can get some kind of feedback from the fans in the stands.
But the inconsistency,
Gotta be tough.
If it's good for one stadium, it should be good for all stadiums. And,
right.
You got your local politicians that in this state say absolutely no way. And you got these guys in this state saying, a percentage, will be okay. And the inconsistency is just, it throws the fairness of the game off. Because all of a sudden, these guys kind of have a home field advantage where they don't over here in Seattle and California is absolutely no sporting events for anybody.
It's just sad that there's that brand new $2 billion stadium just down there 7 miles away from us. And
right there on the I-15.
And, and looking at last Sunday, all of a sudden it's like, oh, the Raiders are playing at home against the Broncos. And, it didn't
That's a big deal.
It didn't hit me until Sunday that they were actually playing at home.
Yeah.
And, hey, you got to give it to Mark Davis. Mark Davis says, I'm not going to watch a game in that stadium until all the fans can go and watch a
Yeah, the following week he's a visitor and he goes and plays in that game.
Yeah.
Come on now,
Yeah. He'll go and watch it somewhere else, but he's not. He's going to stay at home, and not going to a brand new stadium that they just built for $2 billion.
Oh, boy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, our taxes around here are going to be a little high for a while. It's a beautiful facility. But
yes.
$2 billion.
Just a couple other things going into last night's game was,
right.
The Seahawks were something. They were 1-3.
Oh, terrible.
The last 4 games coming into it, so they really needed – I think it was a bigger game for the Seahawks last night than it was for the Cardinals. Well, it was more of a must-win.
Cardinals were coming off that Hail Mary.
Yes.
And they probably should not have won that game. All odds said no.
Absolutely.
He had 4 defenders on this guy, and Big Meat Hooks goes up there and yanks it out of the air.
His hands are just a little bit higher, just a little, just like a hand higher. That's all that he needed. That
guy's got meat hooks.
It was amazing. It really was.
It was a spectacle to watch for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then just something for Kyler Murray. Coming into the game, first player in NFL history to rush for a TD and pass for a TV in 5 consecutive games.
5 games?
5 consecutive games. Not just 5 games, just 5 consecutive games.
Well, you'd figure that a normal quarterback would be able to do that. But we're not talking about a quarterback, are we?
We are talking about a quarterback.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I don't know. He's 5'8" and got a lot of speed.
Are you sure he's a quarterback?
I mean, a lot of people put him as a scat back or something like that.
Right.
I mean,
a Darren Sproles type of guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His speed amazes me.
Oh, zippity doo-dah.
He gets those legs churning and all of a sudden like, and then all of a sudden he's got like 10, 12 yards behind him.
It's like when you're trying to sleep at night and that fly or gnat is flying around your head.
Right.
And you can hear it coming in because it's so quiet. And you got that zzz, and you're just trying to swat at it. And it's like, you just never get it. You never get it. And it's still in your face at 4:00 in the freaking morning.
Welcome to Wisconsin and mosquitoes, sir. I'm telling you, those mosquitoes at night, that you can't get them. And they'll buzz your head. They'll buzz your head all night long. And it's exactly the type of player. I mean,
well, the reason they come to the humans is because of what you're exhaling from your lungs.
That's what they say.
They like that. So stop breathing. You'll be all right.
Well, let me get my CPAC out real quick when I put that on. If I stop breathing, I hope there's one of those around.
Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Seahawks, had some words to say after the game.
They do so many things with their pressure packages, and I thought we handled it really well. And we were prepared. We were ready to go. Coach Scheide called a great game, and we were locked in, zoned in. DK Metcalf going off, making some plays, and Tyler Lockett, once again, is so clutch.
Coach Scheide, is that Schottenheimer?
Yes.
Wow.
That's his son.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You would think you'd see more Marty Ball kind of thing coming out of that offense, but it's not.
No, well, Marty Ball, don't get me started.
I know, it's kind of difficult.
Well, the thing about Schottenheimer, because we would go down to the games for 10, 15 years, season tickets.
Yeah.
Awesomeness. And being able to see him. He was a spaz. He was a complete spaz. It's like the fishing show, Wicked Tuna.
Seen it?
You got professionals that have been fishing all of their lives, and they're like 50, 60 years old. I've been fishing for tuna my whole life. And they get a hookup, and they still, right off the bat, don't know what to do. They don't have a plan. They don't have a schedule. They don't have you do this, you do this, you do this, and you do this. Mm-hmm. It's just everyone like all hands on deck, go. And it's just the spasmatic of it all. Schottenheimer is just like that. He just gets in those clutch games where the energy level and the pressure is just beating down on your veins. And he just got angrier and angrier. And as we know, when you get angry, you can't think straight.
Can't.
No. Make bad decisions.
And there was plenty of those in the playoff games when he was down there with the Chargers, unfortunately.
Right.
But, hey, something real quick on Russell Wilson after last night's game.
Yep.
He has won 93 games in his first 9 seasons. That is the best. He passed Peyton Manning last night.
That's great.
So that's averaging over 10 games a season for 9 seasons straight.
And he was the only quarterback in the television show on HBO called Entourage.
Yes.
Or was that the movie? That was the movie.
Was it the movie?
I think it was the movie that he was in. And I didn't realize how short he was till he was standing next to Adrian, whatever his name is.
And you thought he was short.
And I thought he was short.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this guy's like even short. I was like, are you sure he's an NFL quarterback?
Right.
Are you sure?
Not really quite sure.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson's proven himself over the years. He's going to make Canton.
Well, he's on his way.
Yeah.
He's definitely on his way. And everybody's been talking about it this year. Let Russell cook. He hasn't received an MVP vote yet in his first 8 years. So obviously they'll probably take care of him this year. As long as his team goes a little bit farther in the playoffs, I would think,
right.
At least to the, conference finals, kind of thing. So I got lucky and I got to watch him 1 year at Wisconsin. He left NC State. He took his 5th year, came to Wisconsin, took us to a Rose Bowl. They ended up losing to Oregon, but he had a fantastic game, and he was drafted in the 3rd round. And the Seahawks had just traded for the backup quarterback, Flynn, from the Green Bay Packers, who had 6 touchdowns against Detroit Lions, and that was the only thing that he ever did.
That was it.
And he got a multi-million-dollar contract out of that. And Russell Wilson came in there, and he took that job away in preseason. That's how good that kid is. He was just leaps and bounds above everybody that that came into the league that year.
Do you want to set a record here?
Sure.
Let's be the last sportscaster to talk about the Kyle Murray Hail Mary. What do you think?
Go for it.
DeAndre Hopkins. Headline here. Murray out of the pocket. Looks downfield. Now looks to the other side. Using and the catch made by Fitzgerald. Shotgun. Murray out of the pocket.
There you go.
7 seconds. 6 seconds. Murray hits it downfield. It is. Oh, it's caught. It is caught. DeAndre Hopkins. Miraculous. It's Murray magic.
Murray magic.
made Murray magic.
Dude,
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. I got a personal story on this one. So my roommate's got a 14 parlay on this game.
14.
A four team parlay.
Okay, 14.
And we're sitting there watching it, and he's got the under, and the over under is 56. So he's right at the number. So it's going to be the push, but he's got the side because he's got Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm watching this. I'm thinking, we're both thinking, all right, at least we're going to get the side, Buffalo's going to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So they throw that ball all the way down. Excuse me, he's got the Cardinals because, as we're going to find out here in a second, so they get that touchdown.
Right.
So what do you do after you score a touchdown? Okay, there's no time on. There's 1 second left on the clock, right? So you normally kick the extra point, right?
Sure.
Guess what the Cardinals do? They kneel. They snap the ball and kneel.
Oh, yes.
They win 32-30. The line is 2.5. I would have loved to been in any one of these sports books down here on this.
You didn't want to be there.
Oh, I wanted to see people throwing, ripping tickets, just screaming at the TV.
NFL head coaches don't give a rat's butt about the spread. They don't care.
Right.
Their job is based on W's and L's. That's it. That's it. It's as simple as that.
So the reason why they do that is because in case they block the extra point, they could run it back for 2 points and tie.
Right.
So that's why they kneel. Analytics in this game have really raised their head here the last 4 years.
Do you think it's overthinking?
A lot of it is.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, for me, it is too much.
Back in the frozen tundra, you got a Vince Lombardi. He's going to kick that ball.
He's kicking that ball.
He's kicking that ball. And if he's worried about it, he's going to put, old big chops over there and a couple speedy guys, maybe 2 or 3 guys behind the kicker, just to make sure.
Right.
But see, at that time in the league, there were no points. It was either an extra point good or no. Where now we have the rule where you can run it back.
You could, they couldn't have ran it back, correct? But they could have went for a 2-point conversion also, which back in those days, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, a lot of them did go for 2 points because nobody could kick the ball.
Well, you're dealing with 70 below zero, sideways rain coming at you.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course you're going to run it. And 2 points is always more appetizing. If you could score the 2-point conversion every time, that definitely puts you in a better perspective than a team that chooses to kick it all the time.
Yeah. So last night, just going on this bad beat thing, just like the Cardinals. So there was another game last night.
No,
there
really?
was a college game last night.
Okay.
Yeah. Tulane goes down to Tulsa. Tulane, is up 21-14 with 6 seconds left.
In the game?
In the game. Okay. And Tulsa was favored in this game. Okay. So they're down by 7, right?
All right.
Okay. They're down to their third-string quarterback. The second-string quarterback goes out in the second or third quarter. Third-string quarterback's in. He throws a 40-yard Hail Mary.
No.
Yes, to send it in overtime. So they kick the extra point, send it in overtime. So in overtime, they, in college, each team possesses the ball.
Yeah.
So they both trade field goals. Okay? So now all of a sudden, Tulane has the ball. They're for their second time in overtime, and they are on the 4-yard line. The quarterback throws an interception on the 3-yard line, and they run it all the way back for a touchdown. Game over.
And
guess who covers? All of a sudden, the team that was down 21-14 with 6 seconds left now covers the football game.
And wins it.
And wins it outright. So you just never know. That's why you got to play. That's why you got to play 60 minutes. And last night they had to play 65 minutes, and they weren't good enough.
What do you think about near the end of the game when players decide that they're going to go ahead and not score and they're going to run out of bounds to continue holding onto the ball instead of taking the points?
It bugs the crap out of me. It literally bugs the crap out of me.
All right, we got that Browns run. You want to hear it?
I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah, let's go
Thank
there.
you. This is
Joe
awesome.
Judge. Here is Chubb going outside. One won't go out of bounds, and he does it, and he may go all the way. And he does. No flags are down, and Chubb
He ran out of bounds.
goes out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
I just saw everyone at this sports book.
It's 10-7. Everybody just needs this. Everybody's on the Browns last week. Everybody was all over the Browns last week.
Browns are hot, man. The Browns are hot.
Well, they're coming off of a bye and they needed to win. This is the team they should have beat. They were only favored by 5.5, I want to say. And he's running down, and he just sidesteps out half-yard line. And you see this a lot now. And as we were discussing earlier, he goes in, they're up by 2 scores.
Right?
They're up by 2. There's no way. I mean, I shouldn't say there's no way because there could be, 2 onside kicks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know that.
Little fairy dust.
Whatever you do. But he goes out and they win 10-7. They don't cover the point spread. And everybody, again, for the second time in the day, is throwing stuff at the TV.
Wow.
It's very frustrating, Lance, to go back to your original question.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Atlanta Falcons guy against the Detroit Lions. He actually goes in the end zone, and it did cost them the game because they got the touchdown, then they got an onside kick or whatever, and then they ended up winning the game. So I can see both sides to it, but I'm sorry. I think I'm selfish as a running back or a wide receiver or quarterback, somebody scoring. I want to score that. I want to score that touchdown.
Yeah, that's
I want to
what
keep
the glory is.
And how about these guys that don't keep their footballs after they score touchdowns? I'm sorry, I want a room full of that because how many touchdowns do people really actually score in the NFL? I mean, if you're not a running back or a wide receiver, even if you're a wide receiver, a good season's 5 touchdowns.
Well, what's going to prevent you from running down to a sporting goods store, Walmart?
Yeah, but
buy a football, write on it, say, "Hey, look at this! Look at this!"
It doesn't have the
Abraham Lincoln signed my football.
The team on it, it's just something pretty special about it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
When it's the
Personally,
actual
to me,
ball involved, sure.
Yeah,
Because
personally,
what's going to happen is later on in your life, you're going to see that play 30, 40 years from now.
Yeah.
And that's the day and age we live in. Everything that we do is going to stay around forever now.
yes.
And you're going to be able to look up on your wall and see that football up there. And then you look at the play, and you look at the football, and you look at the play, and you realize you're pretty old. That's what happens.
Sometimes they're called memories.
Memories.
Sometimes it's just reminders of a youth gone past.
Youth gone past.
Yes.
Yep. Days gone by. Faded glory. The faded glory
Absolutely.
of the frozen tundra.
Always.
All right. So what else we got going on? We got some college football happening.
I kind of wanted to get into the NBA.
You want to get in the NBA?
Yeah, only because I woke up Monday morning after, seeing the great football Sunday that we had, and all of a sudden, oh my God, there's trades. There's like the ticker's full of NBA stuff, and I'm going.
The draft is on Wednesday, right?
I didn't know it.
Yeah, Wednesday on ESPN.
At that time, because of the scheduling and everything like that,
But it was a remote thing.
Yes, it was. It was done virtually again, just like the NFL
NBA
did.
commissioner was at the ESPN studios, and it was like, ew. I mean, fine and dandy and everything, but I understand why they put it way out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It's because they have all those satellite dishes that had to be 40 feet wide just to send a little signal into space. And that's fine. That's okay. But was it Bristol, Connecticut?
Yeah, Bristol, Connecticut. Yeah. They got a huge campus.
It's not like, from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's like from Bristol, Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so small you don't even. And basically, I've talked to people that have been there, and it's basically ESPN. There's really nothing else in Bristol.
Yeah, well, you got to have room for all those satellite dishes.
Yeah,
because back in the day, they had to be giants. Now we can, you can take your pen and point it in the sky and get a signal. It's crazy. Crazy how things work these days.
But the first big thing that came across the wire on Monday was Chris Paul from the Thunder was traded to the Phoenix. Now, Chris Paul, he was with the Clippers, and then he went to the Thunder last year. But he went with forward Exel Nader, and in exchange, the Thunder got Rick Rubio. He's a guard, a forward Kelly Oubre Jr., guard Ty Jerome, guard Jalen LeCue, and a 2022 protected first-round pick.
What does that mean, protected?
Protected means that when depending on where they fall in the draft order, they could either keep it or not. So it's protected to a certain point. 10 through 31, and then 1 through 8 isn't protected kind of thing. So it's a protected one, and they decide later. It's kind of like in the NFL with
it's that
compensation
stupid
later.
lottery system that they used.
Well, they
I
do
just
for the
don't
top
understand
8.
that.
Yeah, for the top eight picks, they do a lottery, and so
it's not the entire league that does the lottery. It's just the top 8.
just the worst
The
eight,
worst
the
eight.
worst 8
Okay.
teams from the previous
Okay.
season.
Okay, that makes sense.
Get all their ping pong balls
thought it was the
thrown in the
entire
bingo
league.
hopper. No,
Okay.
no, it's not the entire league.
So they do the worst 8, and they decide the top 8 picks.
Yes, and then
everyone else goes into the win-loss column from last year.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
and how you ended up in through the playoffs and everything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you could have a worse record, but still be 31st because you're in the finals.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So just to explain it with the NBA, so the 8th team gets, say, 10 ping pong balls.
Okay.
The 7th place team gets 12 ping pong balls.
And what's a ping pong ball represent?
Just put your name in there, so it goes in this big hopper, and then they pull it out.
I see.
Kind of thing. So 8th gets 10,
The
12.
Nuggets get
I
8.
don't know if the
Okay.
numbers are correct.
Clippers
kind of thing.
get none because they're always that good.
Correct. Yeah, they get nothing. But
Yeah.
if you're number 1, you get the most balls. So that's why it's always difficult. The more ping pong balls, the better chance you have.
He said balls.
I did say balls. I gotta say this. One of my funnest terms that I hear on the NFL. Funnest. It is.
Okay.
It really is.
I'm already ready for it.
Are you ready for
Yeah,
it?
I'm ready for it.
Balls out. Like when the ball is fumbled, all of a sudden you
It's
hear.
not funny, man.
All of a sudden
I
you go.
almost did 3 to 5 for doing
All of
that.
a sudden you go, balls out! And then my best, because this happened the other day, I go, oh my God, it's a muffed punt! Balls out! I could not believe it. And it's legal to say. It's all good.
Yeah, it is legal to say.
But so that was the first big trade. Going back, sorry about the balls out there.
No, it's fine.
Appreciate that. But I just thought it was a lot. And you know what's funny about this is that the Thunder on Wednesday traded Ricky Rubio back to the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he was drafted from originally. Yeah. So, but the one thing that really, really got me was this. Now, Lance.
Yep.
So James Harden
Okay.
plays for the Rockets.
Sure.
Been there a couple years.
Yep.
Signed a huge, massive contract.
All
Okay.
right. Point guard.
Point guard.
Yep.
Shoots the ball. Great. Shows up every day. Great player. Just no defense, but lights it up.
Okay.
He turned down the last 2 years on his contract.
Which would have been
$103 million.
$103 million.
He would
See,
have.
with that kind of, I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I had that kind of
He
money.
would have been the first NBA player paid $50 million. I mean, who turns that down? He turned it down because he wants to go play with Kevin Durant over in Brooklyn, who they already have Kyrie Irving, so I'm not sure how that's going to go anyways. Durant's coming off an injury. He didn't play at all last season, but they're buds. They've played on many USA Olympic teams, they played in Oklahoma City together. So,
Sometimes it's not about the money.
sometimes it's not. And,
All right. That makes sense.
personally, these NBA players are making some ridiculous money. I mean, they've got the super max, they got a max contract, a super max contract. It depends on your free agency and everything like that. But you've got these average players that are, average 10, 11 points a game, 6 rebounds that are making $35 million a year. And
Right.
and I think they're going to be in for a little bit of an eye-opening situation here, especially with no fans again, probably starting this season and probably through half of the season of next year. Where are they going to get the revenue to pay these contracts? I'm really not sure.
I'm sure that there's something written into the contract, and even if there's not, what's it going to take for the the team to come over and go, hey man,
Well,
we ain't making no money.
Well, both the NBA and the NHL did go back to the collective bargaining agreements after their bubbles that were over in August this year. So they did have to readjust some numbers and everything like that. So at least they're
for
thinking
the
about
betterment
it.
of the player or not.
Never for the. It's always for the owners.
Yeah, when they break all these special meetings, right?
It's always for the owners, kind of thing. So, but the NBA has been the one league that has been able to really cut into the. I mean, they're like a 51-49 split.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're basically right down the middle on this last collective bargaining agreement. Now, I'm not, shame on me for not knowing exactly what they had to renegotiate after this bubble, but it's based around dollars, because. Are the TV people going to be paying that much more money? Are they going to?
It's all in the negotiations.
Yeah. I mean, they signed for this, but I mean, we're not getting the eyes. The NBA's been in a free fall the last 4 years, anyways, on viewerships, kind of thing. So it's been really difficult for them. But $103 million. Come on. I mean, it's tough to turn that down.
Well, it's because we've always been broke as jokes, Yeah. When you don't have that money.
No,
but, these guys, what kind of value do you put on money, when you can make it hand over fist like that for, you're working.
Yeah.
But it's not like, you're pulling out a transmission.
No.
It's not like, you're building 90-foot walls,
right.
8 miles long.
Right.
It's not like you're really working. You're doing something that you really love and enjoy, which is great. I mean, good for the guys to be able to do that and
Sure.
get paid for that. But I wonder what it does to your mind, when it's like, honey, I need a new blah, blah, blah. It's going to cost $40,000. And, you're like, oh, shit, did I put that in my pocket? No. It's in my wallet on the counter.
Well, and that's why a lot of these people become broke. NFL players,
Oh, yeah.
basketball players.
Yeah, your mind trying to wrap around money when it comes so easy has got to kind of throw your whole game off, because when that stops, because it will eventually, all of a sudden you're not making that kind of money, and all of a sudden, you got to get yourself a real job and you find something that you like to do, or you buy a business. I mean, with that kind of money, the world's your oyster, man.
Should be.
Yeah.
It really should be if you're smart with your money, but that's another problem. A lot of these kids, because they come out when they're 18, 19-year-old now. Remember, they only go to college for 1 year in basketball.
Takes.
Right now, basketball
they can be pulled out after
1 year, and you can actually come out when you're 18. A lot of them now are going to the D League now, which Gatorade has sponsored, and it's kind of instead of going to college. And some of them are paying these kids now at 18, 19 years old, or they have to go over to Europe, or Australia, or Israel, or Soviet Union, to play in their pro leagues at 18, 19 years old.
Wow.
Instead of wasting that 1 year in college where they're not getting any money.
But
kind of
still,
thing.
Picture for yourself, if you will. Was this a new rule that was in play after LeBron James got into the league?
LeBron James came in when he was 18 years old.
Yeah, he was a young kid.
Just like
Right.
Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was 18 years old when he was good enough to. It's not like college football. College football makes you go to school now. It used to be 3 years. Now it's only 2.
Mm-hmm.
So at least you get a little bit of a time to adjust and mature a little bit. But for the most part, these kids that come out, in basketball, and it's so disappointing sometimes because there's only 12 guys on a basketball team.
Right.
And there's so many. I mean, I think there's 330 Division I NCAA teams, in basketball. Football is a little bit different. There's only 100 and some. So it's just, there's so many players with so few spots available, and all these kids think they're going to just go to the NBA. And the ones that do, a lot of them don't come from money. They've never had, $1 million to play with. All of a sudden, now they got all this money, and now they think it's going to be there forever. It's difficult to watch sometimes when you get athletes like that have fantastic careers, or they get the wrong people built around them. Their family or their people that they want, in their businesses, and they steal their money. You hear so many stories about.
Well, you're 18 years old. You don't make good decisions all the time.
Yeah.
You're 18 years old. I can't imagine. When I became a thousandaire.
Yeah.
I remember looking at my bank account.
I'd like to be a thousandaire again.
And, I'm counting them 3 zeros behind that number, man. It was like, yeah. Now, I can't even imagine. All of a sudden, I'm 18 years old, and I've got 6 zeros behind it looking at my bank account. I mean,
right.
Gone.
Never seen that kind of
Gone.
money before.
No, it's crazy.
My first paycheck was $127.
You remember that?
Yes. Oh, vividly. I went and spent 125 of it when I bought it. When I got
Was it cash money?
It was check. I had to go get a bank account to cash it. Actually, if you live in Las Vegas, you can go right down to the casino. They'll cash it for you for nicely. Say sure.
Oh, as long as the businesses are known. Yeah, you betcha.
Yeah. Well, I was working at a grocery store, so yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those major chains. Why didn't they cash it at the grocery store?
Because they didn't. That was their policy, not to cash it at the. They didn't want to cash everybody's checks at the grocery store. It was.
But it just makes good sense because they could have gotten all the cash out the door and not worry about robbery.
Yeah.
And just have the paper to put back into the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's too closely associated to the accounts.
That's okay.
But that's getting way off topic here.
I know. Cheese and rice. But,
holy smokes!
But $103 million. That's
a lot of money to turn down.
Yeah.
All you got to do is run up and down the hardwood for a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. That easy. But the Rockets were busy. They're going through a major overhaul. They brought in Westbrook last year to go with Harden, and that really didn't come together as the way that they wanted it to. So,
pan out.
Pan out. That's a good word for it. Yeah, but they traded away Robert Covington to the Trailblazers for Trevor Ariza.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a 2020 first round pick on Wednesday, and then a 2021 first round pick.
Nice.
And then they trade Trevor Ariza to Detroit on Wednesday night.
And then
they got more draft picks and that kind of stuff, So the Rockets were they were just going back and forth. And next one was the Milwaukee Bucks. So they've got the rating MVP the last 2 years, Giannis.
That's Lou Alcindor's old team, isn't it?
It is. At one time he was a Milwaukee Buck. Yep. Then he went to the Lakers, and the rest is history.
And he made movies. He was in Airplane.
But the Bucks, they're a small market team. They don't really have the money that all the coast teams do, the East Coast or the West Coast teams. So, and he's on the fourth year of his rookie contract. So it's next year they got to pay Giannis. So. They're trying to get some pieces around him to show him that, hey, we are committed to you. We will do anything to be able to keep you on our team. Please sign the Supermax deal here he's going to make tons of money wherever he goes. But for somebody like Milwaukee, who has really not been, a mainstay in the NBA for basically 30 years, they just really haven't been able to pull off anything in the Midwest. It's tough in the Midwest. But they went after, from the Pelicans, they got the point guard. They sent Eric Bledsoe from the Bucks to the Pelicans, along with George Hill, 3 first-round draft choices for this Drew Holiday, who is another point guard that was one of their big complaints last year is that they didn't have anybody that was very consistent from the outside.
Right.
So, but 3 first-round draft picks. And I'm going, well, that seems like a lot.
3 first round?
3 first round plus these 2 guys.
Is anybody that good?
So, but listening to the analysis after, it kind of made sense. It's like, well, if you're in the conference finals every year, your draft pick's going to be number 30 or 29. Or 28. And these kids that are in 28, 29, 30, they're not really making the team. So it sounds like a lot, but it kind of makes sense, But you got to get Giannis to sign. If Giannis doesn't stay, then now you're screwed. You don't have 3 first-round picks in the next 3 years.
Right.
So I just, and actually, one is 2020, the other one is 2025. And the other draft pick is 2027.
Going back to the draft picks.
Yeah.
I am a very good team, and I want to get somebody away from a real bad team that will probably make the lottery.
Okay.
Can I take away their lottery pick?
It depends on how you structure a trade or whatever that you want to do.
Well, okay, let's say I got 3 first-round draft picks, and teams suck is what I got is going to get give away. Going to give me their lottery if I give them one of my good players.
Yes.
So then I'm a real good team, and yet I can get put into the lottery.
Correct.
That can happen.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because it'll show you. It'll say New York Knicks pick from Atlanta Hawks.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
All right.
So that's how they keep track, and you'll see that in the NFL also.
Well, that sounds interesting because get halfway through the season, realize you're not going to be that good. All of a sudden, you're going to have a lot of leverage with that draft pick because you're going to be one of the bottom 8. And does that inspire somebody to keep losing?
There has been so much talk of tanking. I mean, literally in the NBA, they have talked about tanking after the first 20 games because there's only 82 games, and next year hopefully it's going to be
look
less.
At the value of that draft pick. If you're going to be at bottom 8, that draft pick becomes very valuable, especially if you look into the college ranks and realize there's somebody in there you really want.
Correct.
Wow.
And that's why.
Interesting.
Because remember, the worse you are, if you tank, the more ping pong balls you got. But the Bucks weren't done. They went after they acquired shooting guard Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Kings, along with Justin James for 3 Milwaukee Bucks. Then I didn't put down the names, so I apologize about that. But what happened here? No, this is funny.
No,
so
don't be funny.
Yeah, no, this is funny because.
God, here we go.
They announced this and everything, and this is before the draft.
Okay, Tuesday, Monday.
Tuesday, I think Monday, Tuesday. And this is when the talk. Well, guess what?
What's that?
In the new collective bargaining agreement they signed 2 years ago, you can't do this kind of deal before free agency starts, which just started like 30 minutes ago.
Right.
So they announced this on Monday, Tuesday. So all of the owners are calling and saying you can't do this, and Bogdanovic comes out and says, "Wait a minute, I want to be a free agent. I want to be a restricted free agent. I don't want to have to go. I don't want the Kings to trade me to the Bucks. I don't want to go there." Now he may end up there because they're going to give him a lot of money, but on Tuesday he couldn't say that that the deal was done. He says everything's in the works, kind of thing. But so
checks in the mail. Yeah.
So, but at least it's good to see Milwaukee trying to do something. It's one of those things that it's been such a
dry spell,
so long, and it's been great to have Giannis there and just have some excitement in that city. But then probably the worst thing that happened in the NBA this week, and it just happened. It happened an hour before the draft. Was the Warriors' Klay Thompson. Mm-hmm. Who had an ACL injury late in the championship series 2018. He didn't play all of 2019. He was doing a workout. He was playing in some scrimmage games, getting ready. He had an ACL injury. He didn't play at all last year. He blew his Achilles on the other leg, on the right leg. His Achilles, the ACL was on the left from last year. And this year, so he's gone for another season.
Another year.
A full another season. And whenever I think of Achilles, I may be dating myself, but I just think of how horrible Dan Marino played after he tore his Achilles. I mean, he couldn't even
he never recuperated.
He never recuperated from that.
He became a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, it's just a great kid, and it really pretty much puts a nail in the coffin on the Golden State Warriors dynasty that everybody thought that they were going to have. They've been such a great team, and out of nowhere,
was he doing a pickup game or something stupid?
It was a workout. They were working them out. Trying to see where it was because they're coming back to practice.
The coaches
December
were involved, and they were telling them
ish.
Okay,
ish. I'm sure
coaches ish.
Ish. Coach Ish was probably around that, but it wasn't.
Sanctioned.
It wasn't a sanctioned Warriors practice kind of thing, but it's what a lot of these players do in the off season. They get along with other players. They get together with other players of their caliber and go work out, do some pickup games and everything like that. So
when you have competition like that, you can get a lot bigger and a lot faster because when you do it by yourself, sometimes it's hard to get that motivation. Yeah. But you got homeboy over there dogging
absolutely.
You're going to try that much harder.
There's nothing better than competition.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, always. Absolutely. I mean, in anything, kind of thing. So, I'm got a little just going to do a little recap of the top 10 of the draft pick.
Except at 4:30 in the morning when the last girl's in the bar. Competition's not good.
No. I'm battling for that one. So, top 10, Timberwolves took shooting guard Anthony Edwards out of Georgia. Golden State, after finding out about Klay Thompson being gone, took a center, James Wiseman from Memphis, who his story is that he was basically told, you cannot play your last season at Memphis. So
What?
Yeah, he had some legal problems that that the conference wasn't really happy about. So he said, okay, and
What kind of problems?
I'm not really going to get into that.
Something.
Yeah,
Little something,
yeah, it wasn't very good,
Okay.
kind of thing.
All right.
So, but he sat out a whole year, and look, he's still the second pick in the draft. Now, this was a really difficult draft, and difficult for everybody because
He was
college-
in Bristol.
well, the college kids didn't get to play in the March Madness last year. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
The shutdown came down on March 17th. It was a Tuesday. March Madness was supposed to start that Thursday on the 19th. And that's when all these kids, their stock goes up. You get to see them play. You get to see them in intense situations. That's when they can really increase their values to all these GMs and people in the NBA. Number 3, the Charlotte Hornets took point guard LaMelo Ball. Chicago Bulls took shooting forward Patrick Williams from Florida State. Now, that was kind of a surprise because he was basically a sixth man. He wasn't really a starter, but big ups. I mean, skyrocket, jumps towards the hoop, good defense, but was never a starter. So that was one of the biggest surprises in the first round. At number 5, the Cleveland Cavaliers took Isaac Okoro from Auburn. Number 6, Atlanta Hawks took center Anye Olongwu from the USC, so another center, a big man, 7-footer. Detroit Pistons, and you see this a lot in the last half decade to a decade. They took a point guard, Killian Hayes, from France.
Wow.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like basketball is such an international sport, and they get a lot of players from overseas that they really get into that international market.
If you look at the NBA and the countries around the world that really appreciate it and support it and financially help develop it, some of the shortest people in the world live in that country. So, I mean, is it more of a circus act that they're looking, talking about China, obviously.
They just can't believe the size of the players.
That's it. It's got to be
Yeah.
like I was saying, a circus.
Yeah.
It's like a phenomenon that here you are standing up and looking at these gentlemen that are just monstrous, 7'5", 7'8",
Right.
7'2". Is probably the average I would imagine in the NBA. You got to be a tall
Six.
guy.
You got to be. I mean, if you're 6'4", you're almost small now. I mean, all the small forwards are 6'7", 6'8" now.
Wow.
All the point
Wow.
guards. All the point guards are 6. If you're a 6'2" point guard, you're considered small. Kind of thing now. So I mean, the size that the people have become in the last 2-3 decades is amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's like that all the way around. All sports.
Yeah.
All sports seem to be bigger, faster, quicker.
Yep. Wrapping up, number 9 Wizards took Denny Avdiga from the Israel professional league. He was the youngest MVP ever in that
Really?
league. Yeah.
Nice.
So the Wizards pick him up as they need definitely some shooting help. And then at number 10, the Phoenix Suns pick up power forward Jalen Smith from Maryland.
Nice.
Yeah. So just a little wrap of that, but one little nugget from the draft. This is the first time since 2000 that Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, or Duke didn't have one player taken
Drafted.
in the lottery, just in the lottery.
Okay, in the lottery.
But first time since 2000, longest run since 1985.
Wow.
That those 4 teams had somebody picked in the top 8.
Well, with what Coach K does over there at Duke,
Yeah.
phenomenal the way he gets
Yeah.
those players up and ready to go. I mean, he's definitely probably, I don't know what the numbers are, but I would imagine he's probably one of the best springboards from the college level into the pros, just because of the way he coaches up those kids.
Well, yes, and he was late to the party on the one and dones. He didn't want him. He wanted you to come to Duke for 2 years. He thought, if you want to come to Duke, you want to play for this program, you should come play for 2 years. And Kentucky just kept stealing those players, all the one and done players. So it just kind of shows you how across the country basketball, it's not just the blue bloods anymore. I mean, you've got Georgia, you got Memphis, you got USA. LaMelo Ball went down and played in Australia. Florida State, Auburn. I mean, we're not talking football here. We're talking basketball. I mean, those are football schools, kind of thing. So not to have a Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina or Kansas, I mean, not taken in the top 8. I mean, is it a trend? I don't know. We're going to find out.
Yes, we will.
Kind of thing. So
Well, there you go. We got 1 hour in the book.
just like that.
Just like that.
And that's only 4 topics.
Only 4. How about that?
Jesus Christ, we're going to come back and do more.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, they switched songs on me. There we go.
Sweet.
Kick Out Sports. He's Gilby. I'm Lance. Thanks for being there. We'll be back next week. That would have been a better place to start it.
Love it. Love it.
Eddie!
Was that really an hour?
Yes.
Wow.
1 hour.